In 2014, in the summer of 2014, Israel was attacking Gaza, and thousands were killed. And I was in Jerusalem at the time, and I remember walking. I was near Eshare, which is the ultra-Orthodox community in Jerusalem, and on the outskirts are these big boards where they put all kinds of notices and so on. And I was just happened to walk by and notice one of these notices. And it was a notice, kind of cry to the heavens, what are these Zionists doing once again to the people in Gaza and so on. And it shocked me. This is before I started speaking to you and others in the community. And I stood there, and then I remembered that this community has been rejected Zionism from the very, very beginning. And then after I began speaking with you and so forth, I was in Jerusalem again. This is several years later, and I met with Rabbi Hirsch in Eshare, who was a leader of the community there, Karta, and he gave me a copy. He told me about a copy of a book that was written in the year 1900, Or Sharim,
yes,
which is basically a compilation of articles written by rabbis at the time, and it's a warning to Jewish people about the dangers of Zionism.
And this was before the state of Israel.
This is 1900. Zionism was really just in its infancy,
right.
And it was prophetic. I mean, they could tell then. And just to summarize it, they said three things: Zionism will bring violence to the Holy Land. It will destroy the good relations between Jews and Arabs and Jews and Muslims. And it will cast doubt as to the loyalty of Jews in the countries where they live. Because Jews are a religious minority everywhere. And I was standing there in 2014, realizing that this community knew this so early on, and wondering how, and wondering why, and how was that insight and foresight available so early on. And again, then I saw this book, and I'm still amazed at the ability to see what so many others didn't see, which is that this was going to be catastrophic, not just for the region, but for Jewish people themselves. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I didn't live, I wasn't around in the 1900s to see, but I always say that way before the Palestinians felt that the movement of Zionism is dangerous to them, the Jewish leadership in the Holy Land realized what is going on, and they opposed it. The question is why, how they understood it so well. Let me tell you, we have documents. There was, in the time of the Balfour Declaration, there was a motion in the British Parliament where I think it was the majority of MPs at the time rejected Balfour's idea, and they said, and this is documented, they said it is going to bring danger. This was simple.
Can you elaborate on the Balfour Declaration, just for listeners who may not be familiar with what that is?
Well, the Balfour Declaration was what in 1890 something, where Lord Balfour of Britain issued a declaration to grant some land for the Jewish people, which this ended up to be the foundation of the coming state of Israel.
It was 1970.
Right, 1917. Okay. And by the way, in the Balfour Declaration, he stipulates that obviously this should not affect the indigenous people of Palestine, which was like a condition, which this condition was never fulfilled.
And it was a promise by Balfour, who was the Minister of Foreign Minister, to a Jewish millionaire by the name of Rothschild.
Right. And then the Jewish community worldwide basically was so outraged against this Balfour Declaration. I know there were some nicknames given to it, like to embarrass it. The Balfour Declaration was so wrong and so unaccepted by
Jewish communities.
Sure. Like the main concentration of religious Judaism at the time was in Eastern Europe at the time, and many Jewish leaders openly opposed it. And the same.
Let me just say this again, so it's crystal clear. So what you're saying is that when the British, who occupied Palestine at the time, the British foreign minister wrote a promise to a Jewish millionaire, a Zionist Jewish millionaire by the name of Rothschild, saying that the British government supports the idea of a Jewish homeland in Palestine. Jewish people opposed that, rejected that. That's what you're saying.
Right, exactly.
People understand what we're talking about here, because that's not the prevailing narrative.
Right.